evening.
TV Crazy Man here, the man that is crazy for classic television.
What are you, some kind of nut?
In this video, F Troop fans, we take a look at all the spooky stuff the F Troop actors got themselves involved in before and after F Troop. Well, look at the two spookiest ever F Troop episodes, and at the end, look at the Ghostbusters Saturday morning TV series that reunited Forrest Tucker and Larry Storch. In the episode, The West Goes Ghost is sort of an interesting precursor to Tucker and Storch's future series, The Saturday Morning Ghostbusters. O'Rourke and Agarn spend the night in a ghost town.
Next thing you know, you want me to put you to bed with a teddy bear.
Have you got one, Sarge?
Along with the bugler Dobbs and a nearly blind Vanderbilt. You see, they have a hope of homesteading this ghost town, so when the railroad comes through town, or at least when they think it's coming through town, they'll get rich. In this episode, this small band of F Troop finds themselves up against a ghost named Blackjack Crawford, who rides a horse carrying his ghostly bride in the spooky, deserted town. At first, Blackjack turns out to be nothing more than a hermit trying to scare away visitors. On a quick trivia note, the scary hermit played by Don Beto went on to play Santa Claus on 2 episodes of Highway to Heaven and 1 episode of Bewitched. Joe Brooks, aka Vanderbilt, also played Santa once on a spooky movie from the 80s called Gremlins, or at least he played as someone dressed up as Santa that was being attacked by gremlins. Well, later on the episode The West Goes Ghost, Captain Palmerter and Wrangler Jane then pose as the Ghost Riders to scare the fellows back to F Troop, which works, and just in time too, because Sergeant O'Rourke finds out that the railroad isn't really coming through the ghost town after all. At the end of the episode, when the captain and Jane have a picnic in the old town, a real ghostly rider comes through with his bride. F Troop's other very spooky episode, guest starring the great and very scary Vincent Price, was entitled V is for Vampire.
Good evening.
Vincent Price plays an immigrant from Transylvania. Naturally, he rides in a hearse, has pale skin, and talks to a crow he calls brother.
I am Count Sforza from Transylvania.
Almost the entire episode, we are left guessing as to whether or not Price's character is actually a vampire or not.
Now that's what I call a paleface.
Eventually, all is revealed after F Troop has to search through Vincent Price's haunted house to try to find Jane, whom they think has been, well, you know, like bitten or whatever. Of course, Vincent Price was the king of classic horror. My memories of Price growing up include the TV guest appearances he made, like, you know, The Brady Bunch, and that Scooby-Doo series he did, 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, which ran for 13 episodes. And nothing creepy or unlucky about that. I mean, then there was that song in the 80s, something about soul and getting down. The Raven in V for Vampire, or I guess I should say Crow, was a reference to Price's movie The Raven, which also starred Boris Karloff and Peter Lorre, and was about a magician who had been turned into a raven. Now let's look at a couple of trivia facts about Vincent Price you might find pretty interesting. According to Price, when he and Peter Lorre went to view Bela Legosi's body at Legosi's funeral, Lorre, upon seeing Legosi dressed in his famous Dracula cape, quipped, "Do you think we should drive a stake through his heart, just in case?" What a thing to say at a funeral. Not sure if that's funny or not.
You must be more careful.
According to what I read, Vincent Price would often attend showings of his films in costumes to play pranks on moviegoers.
Good evening.
In his later years, when asked for his autograph, he would often sign Dolores Del Rio instead of his actual name. When once asked why, he replied in complete seriousness, "I promised her on her deathbed that I would do what I could to keep her name alive." She was an actress whose career ran for 50 years. It went back as far as the 1920s and 30s.
Good evening.
Vincent Price once told the story of a middle-aged woman who came up to him while on a flight to Barcelona for a fantasy film festival. She was quite excited and said, "Oh, sir, could I have your autograph? I can't tell you how many years I've enjoyed your films, Mr. Karloff."
Afraid, my dear?
as Price was always the perfect gentleman and he didn't want to disappoint her. He said he actually brought Boris Karloff back to life and gave the woman Karloff's autograph 15 years after the actor had died. I bet you didn't know that Vincent Price was in the art. He was a connoisseur, a champion of American Indian Native American art in particular. He was appointed to the Indian Arts and Crafts Board under Eisenhower.
Now that's what I call a paleface.
Price and Christopher Lee were born on the same day, May 27th, and Peter Cushing was born on the 26th, different years of course. All three are considered legends in the horror genre, and all three appeared together in Scream and Scream Again in 1970 and House of Long Shadows in 1983.
Don't waste blood.
Now let's look at the spooky shows and movies the F Troop actors did before and after F Troop. Melody Patterson, who was Wrangler Jane on F Troop of course, went on to play on a horror movie entitled Blood and Lace in 1971. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't watch any scary movies that have blood in the title, so don't ask me what it was about. A few years after Forrest Tucker and Larry Storch were Saturday morning Ghostbusters, Ken Berry also played a Ghostbuster on an episode of Fantasy Island named Elliot Fielding on the episode Birthday Party / Ghostbreaker, which also starred Larry Storch and Ricardo Montalban, of course, as Mr. Rourke, which is almost the same as Sergeant O'Rourke. Barry gets to Ghostbust with Annette Funicello. He gets in a fencing match with Larry Storch, who plays the bad guy, or at least we get to see stunt doubles get into a fencing match. He gets a little help from a very old ghost that looks a lot like the hermit from the West Goes Ghost episode. By the end, Barry's character gets the girl and embarks on his career as a Ghostbuster. Oh, he was also on the Fantasy Island Jack the Ripper episode, but his segment of the show was about becoming a gigolo. Ken Berry also played on an alien invasion movie, The Cat from Outer Space. Hey, maybe that doesn't sound super spooky, but at least there's no blood in the title, which gives it a great start in my book. James Hampton, who played Dobbs the Bugler on F Troop, was also in that movie The Cat from Outer Space with Ken Berry. Did you know that Hampton was a werewolf in the 80s? When he played Harold Howard, the father of Michael J. Fox's The Teen Wolf, Scott Howard.
Scott? Scott Howard? This is your father speaking. Now open this door right this minute.
A wolf.
An explanation is probably long overdue.
He went on to voice the older werewolf on the Teen Wolf TV animated series in '86. Then he returned to the role in Teen Wolf 2 when Jason Bateman took over as another Teen Wolf, Todd Howard. Frank DeKova, who played Wild Eagle, guest starred on The Incredible Hulk on the episode 9 Hours. And before he actually started on F Troop, he was on a couple of episodes of Alfred Hitchcock Presents. And an episode of Thriller that starred Boris Karloff. You know him as, of course, as Frankenstein's monster in The Mummy. Of course, nothing says Halloween like the special It's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. The actor Peter Robbins that voiced Charlie Brown on that classic Halloween special showed up on an episode of F Troop entitled The Sergeant and the Kid.
I want to be a soldier.
Oh, I'm afraid that's not possible, Joey. You're underage.
How old do you have to be to join the cavalry?
Forrest Tucker starred in one episode of Night Gallery in the original Ghostbusters with Larry Storch, which I'll talk about later.
I can't wait for that bowling league show to begin. I got showbiz on the brain.
Yeah, and you're playing to an empty house.
Larry Storch appeared in more spooky shows than anybody else from F Troop. We've already mentioned the Ghostbreaker episode of Fantasy Island he did with Ken Berry, and before then Ghostbusters, the TV series, which we'll talk more about later. In 1963, he was on an episode of the Alfred Hitchcock Hour on the episode And Out for Oscar. After F Troop, he did the voice of the Joker for the Adventures of Batman cartoon in 1968.
I intend to make sure they land in the fire.
Then in 1970, Storch got into Spooky Fun Monsters with the animated series The Groovie Goolies, where he did the voice of Drac.
This place is driving me batty.
The show was affiliated with Archie from Archie Comics. as it stars Sabrina the Teenage Witch. The Saturday morning show was produced by Filmation and contained old-school-looking monsters such as the Vampire Drac, Frankie, a Frankenstein monster look-alike, Wolfie the werewolf, a mummy, etc. The show ran for a couple of years, and the characters even met up with Looney Tunes characters on a TV movie.
Oh, there they are again.
Relax, sweetheart. It's only a film. Besides, those four weirdos are probably miles from here by now.
No, we're not, Daph. This is my big scene coming up.
In the early 70s, Storch brought his Joker voice back for 2 episodes of the new Scooby-Doo movies. Then in 1974, Storch did a short cameo on Kolchak the Nightstalker on the episode The Vampire. Maybe he was there taking notes for his Ghostbusters series that would start in 1975.
The word around the coroner's office is that all of these bodies were missing an inordinate amount of blood.
I'm sure you're familiar with the Ghostbusters movie and its animated series, but today we're going to discuss the first Ghostbusters to hit television screens way back in 1975. It featured those 2 great actors, Forrest Tucker and Larry Storch, who starred together in a similar buddy role on the Western comedy series F-Troop. This Ghostbusters was a Saturday morning TV show developed by Filmation Studios, and it wasn't actually related to the movie Ghostbusters. Filmation created a ton of Saturday morning favorites, including Superman, Batman, Shazam, Secrets of Isis, and Fat Albert. The series characters featured a gorilla named Tracy.
This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
With Eddie Spencer and a human named Kong, just to confuse the audience, I guess. And these guys were like a crazy team of paranormal detectives who had their own ghost-busting machine, the Ghost Dematerializer. Some of their more famous ghost encounters involved Dr. Frankenstein and his monster, a mummy, the Red Baron, the Canterville Ghost, Count Dracula, Billy the Kid, Bellstar, the captain and first mate of the Flying Dutchman, Dr. Jekyll, and Mr. Hyde even. The show was a big hit, but Filmation wanted to put their money on their #1 new hit, Shazam and the Isis Hour. So only 1 season with 15 episodes was filmed, which they likely regretted later as Isis started to go downhill just a little bit after that first season. In 1984, the movie Ghostbusters, the one with Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray, had to pay Filmation for the rights to use the name Ghostbusters. With the success of the movie in 1984, Filmation revisited their old version of Ghostbusters in a new animated series in 1986, while the movie version of Ghostbusters had its own animated series called The Real Ghostbusters, which ran from 86 to 91. Now, Filmation's animated Ghostbusters only ran for 1 season in the daytime syndication market, but they created an amazing 65 episodes in 1 year. They even produced toys based on the show's characters. Now, Bob Burns was the human inside the gorilla suit for Ghostbusters. He was best known for his work with and collection of movie props for horror and sci-fi movies. Now, at the time, there was a lot of people who actually thought that was a real gorilla.
This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Wow, you should have seen that thing. It took off like a rocket.
Hey, thanks for watching the TV Crazy Man channel. Please hit the like, comment, let me know what classic TV show or movie you'd like me to do a video on. The more requests I get for a particular topic, of course, gives me an idea of what to work on next. Also, if you get a chance, check out my latest video on my cartoon channel, the Frady Cat Cartoons channel. I just finished my 3rd Three Stooges cartoon mix. And F-Troop fans, if you haven't seen my last F-Troop video, check it out. Well, that's it for today. Thanks, and y'all have a great day.